Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, I got a couple of mid-70s Corvette seats and I'm going to turn them from this into this. So keep an eye out and I'll show you how. First we're going to start out, and you need a 3/8 ratchet and number 2 Phillips. You're also, if you have one, going to want a number 3 Phillips, because these are large and probably broke down here and stripped out. We're going to have to probably weld them in like I did on the last one. Yep. And this is for taking this off, which is also broke, and then this one's not even here. These are just where the back of the seat kind of rests on the seat here. And these ones luckily seem to be still attached. Those are going to come out, and then you're going to take this back off. You're also going to want to take these out. See if you can see all this. There's a couple of number 3s as well. Those come out. These seem to be coming out pretty easy, even though the bottom of the seat's fairly rusty. So basically what that's going to do is allow this whole back end of the seat to come off, and keep track of what goes where so you don't lose stuff like that over there and that. Now I'm going to show you kind of how to take the back off, because this is a little bit different than some of the ones I've seen before. This corner and this corner, there is some Phillips screws. You're going to pull those out. Now in a lot of cars, there's usually, if there's something like this on it, they're either completely screwed in with screws, and they're usually kind of down on the bottom, and then they'll have clips going around, kind of like your door panels. But this one, you just take those 2 screws there, grab a hold of the bottom here, and pull up, and that will come off of there. It's got these metal clips that hook onto here. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, there's a couple little metal things right here and here that these clips right here go up underneath, and those were loose, and you can tell somebody's been in here and pried on these, and they're been broke for a while and glued back together before too. Go ahead and put those screws in so we don't lose them. I'm going to stick that seat bottom flipped upside down, got the back off, and down here in this hole there is a bolt. Well, yours might not be right in this section. I got lucky and it is, but you might have to move this around, and these are probably not going to want to move around very much. So I'm going to go ahead, throw some lube in them right now. I got this liquid wrench dry lubricant, and I'm just going to put a little bit in because there's a couple bearings down here. There's probably a couple more. There's a couple more on the other side too. Just putting a little bit so that hopefully I'll be able to get to those. We'll see. I'm going to go in here and take this one out because it's where I need it anyway. Put my little handy drive. Yep, good. That actually did loosen it up enough where I could actually pop this off. Just pulled this all the way forward and you can get to the over here. This one has a lever that actually allows it to move up and down, which yet again it is not wanting to move very well. So I'm going to get to this back one here. I'm going to go ahead and shoot some lubricant, just a tiny bit, because I'm going to paint these later and I don't want a ton of oil all over them. Just there's a couple little, you can see little ball bearings in here, and so I'm just trying to free in here. So I'm going to take a hammer and just tap that up in there. And we'll get these working. I got the other ones working pretty good. Might want to put a little bit of liquid wrench on these too. So far I've got pretty lucky. I haven't had too much problem pulling any of the stuff out of these. Pull it out this way. Yep. And throw that my other thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get these off. Oh, my friends here. There's a little knob here. This just unscrews, pulls off of here, and then this pulls out of here. I did notice that it's easier to kind of find a spot. Well, it was easier on the other one anyway, and flip it around and to pull it out. Just seems to be a little easier to do that than try and scrape that by there. Put that knob somewhere where you're not going to lose it. I'm sure it's probably some ridiculously expensive knob. I always start with the bottom, and first of all there's these clips. Most of these are already popped off and they pop off by hand. Some of them are a little bit more difficult. Just took my big screwdriver, pried them up, and I'll show you up close when I'm done with this what they look like. A few of them are still on the seat, so we're going to pop those off. Just get underneath there. What these look like, actually, show them to you. They look like what you get when you go to wire up like a little trailer or something like that. Comes with the wiring harness, and that's what they look like. And don't lose these. Although I'm sure you could probably use those. These are reusable. Put them in your little bin here that are magnet holder here that I have. Wherever you're putting them, just don't lose them. Might as well not have to buy more if you don't have to. I'm just going to pull this off. Doesn't really matter if I rip this seat because I'm not using it as a pattern. If you were using it as a pattern, or if you were going to take these, just the seat covers off, and take them to somebody to actually sew some seats up for you. As somebody who used to be an upholsterer in the past, I always wanted them to bring the seats in as good a shape as they possibly could, because I can take these patterns and completely cut this all apart and make a pattern off of this to fit directly onto your other seat, and it definitely works out well. So try not to destroy it, but if you're like me, you're just putting on these other seat covers, doesn't really matter. They're already sewed up, they're already ready to go. Now, when you pull these off, do not throw them away. You never know when you might have missed one of these little things, and when we get further into it, I'll show you some other stuff you will have to reuse from these seat covers. I have a steamer here. Now, if I was trying to save this, I would steam this really good. It makes it more pliable so that you can peel it off without ripping it. Yet again, I'm not saving it, so I'm not worrying about it, but if you were, you'd want to use that. You don't, obviously, I was an upholsterer, I have that. Most people don't have one of those. They're getting cheaper and cheaper though, so you can go out and buy them just about any store probably. But you could use like one of those steamable irons that don't touch the iron to it, because the iron will melt this, but the steam will heat it up. Throw it out in the sun. If you got some hot sunny day, throw it out in the sun. That'll make it more pliable. You could use a heat gun or a hair dryer to heat it up. That you got to be real careful though, because that can actually melt it and actually shrink it more, so you can get in trouble that way. But anyhow, I'm going to pull this off. The easiest way is just to pull off the back here. Now, it's not going to come all the way off. What you got is what they call hog rings, holding this down where all the seams are and stuff. Now, something on this Corvette, this is something that took me by surprise. I've never seen this type of a hog ring. If you look underneath here, underneath the seat now you got this piece going across here. It's a little steel bar, metal bar, and there's another one going across the edge here. Now, I will say on this Corvette, these have got the strangest, I guess they're not even really, I wouldn't call them hog rings, but technically that's what you would normally use in this situation. They got normal hog rings here. You want to leave those alone. But down here, I don't know if you can see this, it's a wire that goes around this and sticks down through the bottom of the seat, and they're probably, I don't know, 3 inches long or so. So you need to carefully try and take those off. You got to bend and pry them out. And then underneath the seat, you're going to try and pry it up. I will try and show you that when I get this off, a better idea of what I'm talking about, because it's just too hard. It'll be too hard to film. But I will show that to you later. But just all I'm saying is when you start tearing these out, be real careful. And I'll show you this one. Basically, got a pair of side cutters. Don't cut it. They just help you get a hold of it. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on it and pop this and cut it if you can help it. And basically it's just like a hog ring. You try and down here, just undo it from there. That undoes it from here. You can kind of see what it is here. Okay, now you're going to do that all the way along both edges and the bottom, and then we'll flip it over and I'll show you where we go from there. Seat right side up here, because it goes like that, and that's pilled up. Now I'm going to give you a closer look at these rings here. And basically, on the bottom of this, these ones just happen to completely come out. The rest of them are still stuck in there. But I thought I'd show you. You want to carefully take your side cutters again, and you're just going to take and bend that out best you can, trying not to break it. And we'll peel that off. Like I said, just kind of a little wire like that. And then one side hooks to that spring on the bottom, or the bar on the bottom, and one side hooks to the seat bar on the top. And they're real bummer to get out, but if you take your time, be careful, you can get them out whole, and you're going to want to save them. Now we're done with this. Do not throw it away though. Leave it the way it is. Don't take anything out of it. I know you're going to think, oh, there's these, you need to get these out. Leave these where they are, and I'll show you why later. In fact, in this one there is the 3, but just put it there, set it to the side somewhere safe where it's not going to get thrown away or really stepped on and destroyed. Just keep it. Now, here's the bottom here. You can see we still have a few of these sticking out of the bottom of this. So this one was actually easier than the last one. These ones actually, a lot of them just came right up through the bottom here, but these ones didn't. So what you're going to do is find the ones that didn't. Grab your pliers here, if I could find one that didn't. Let's see here. There we go. Push that up through there and just bring it up through the bottom, because it's a little bit straighter anyway. Yet again, keep all those. I just got a bucket over there. I'm throwing them all in a bucket. Anyhow, find the rest of them, push them up through if you can't get them this up through the other. A Corvette seat, first of all. So as far as those little wires sticking down through, and what I'm about to tell you now, that's just for this seat. But all these things I'm showing you can apply to any seat cover you're putting on. But I noticed this was bent on the other one, and I almost took a hammer to it, and I thought, you know, I wonder if there's a reason that's that way. And then I went and looked at this seat. That's another thing. Don't tear all your seats apart at the same time. Tear one apart at a time, put one together. That way, if you're wondering where something goes, nut, bolt, screw, or what something's supposed to look like, you can look at the other seat and see what it looks like before you do something like I almost did. I almost bashed this over thinking this was bent. It's not bent. This is actually purposely bent over for this bar that comes through here that adjusts the seat. So you got to pay attention to that. And just like with the rest of the parts, I'm just going to take my wire brush these down, rattle can paint, let those dry, get it done. It's a little bit cold in here, so that'll probably take a while, but you don't need to watch me scrub these down. But the next time you see these, they'll be just painted. Rattle can, nothing real difficult. Back of the seat. Be careful of these. These things will tear your fingers up. They're like aluminum plates. Try not to lose them. Those, if you got a original car, things like that, people like keeping all that stuff. So don't just rip that out of your way if you can help it. But these just have regular hog rings, and you see a lot of people just go in here and break them off. Problem with doing that is they always end up down in the seat somewhere where you can't get them. And I have actually personally in the past done a seat and actually had a piece of one of those poke through the seat, and then I had to replace that whole piece. So if you can help it, can't help it, you have to, but if you can, get a pair of side cutters. They're the best tool for this. Hook it on there and twist, and it'll come right out. 98% of the time it'll come right out. Now don't just throw this on the ground or on your table, especially, because yet again I've had that where one that I snapped off ended up on the table, and it comes in here and it'll tear up a seat. It'll poke holes right in your seat. So don't just let that sit on your table, because you'll put your new seat cover on and you'll regret it, believe me. Put all this kind of stuff in a bucket somewhere or directly in a garbage can. You're going to do the hog rings all the way around here, and then there's a piece here that just folds over like that. And then this pretty much comes off to the front area, and we'll show you that when I was zooming you in on here. Is you got this bar going across here, and you got the exact same little pain in the butt things here that you have on the bottom of the seat. And yet again, you're going to want to try your dangdest to not break these if you can help it. And they're a pain. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. There's one up here, one right here, one right here, and another one down at the bottom down here. I don't know if you can see that one, but if I sit here and try and do this all day on camera, that's exactly what it would be, is all day, because I'm trying to do it on camera. So I am just going to take these in the best I can, try and unhook those. Got that one. That one looks like it goes the other way. Then we will wind up flipping this over and doing the same thing right along here. You're going to have those stupid little things here, and you're going to have to go in there, figure out where they are, bend them out just like we did on the bottom, and try and pull them out one way or the other. See how these ones were. They're quite a bit shorter, so like I said, you can use hog rings on these ones when you go to replace them. Yet again, we're going to set this to the side. We're not going to take anything more out of it. We're just going to leave it the way it is. We're going to put it in a safe place, and we'll come back to it later. Here's where I'm not going to separate the foam from the back of the seat. It's all kind of glued on here. I'm going to peel these out a little bit. Not going to hurt anything. You can always glue this back on if you want. Pretty much it'll stay there once you put the seat cover back on. But I am going to remove these. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm going to pull this off of here, and then I'm going to go ahead and take my wire brush this the best I can without ruining any of this, and I am going to go ahead and paint this. Two things that will give it a little bit more rust protection, and then actually down here on the seat you can actually see some of this a little bit, and painting it black it just makes everything look nicer when it's all said and done. If you're doing this for a client, you definitely want to do something like that. I'm doing it for a friend, so I'm doing it. That's pretty cheap and easy for me to go ahead and take a rattle can spray bomb and well, YouTube, this is becoming a ridiculously long video, so I'm just going to stop this here. We'll have this be a tear down, basically, of the seats, how to get the upholstery off, that kind of stuff. Hopefully you've just watched it and you know. And then hopefully next week, maybe the week after, depending on if I can get this up and edited, I'll go ahead and put the covers on for you and show you a few tips on doing that. So go ahead and check me out. Hopefully within the next week, if not 2 weeks. You can watch that one. Hopefully you enjoyed this, didn't get too bored, and because I know it's fairly long. This is Sam, Jack of all, Master none. Y'all have a good one.